Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today putting together a little odds and ends video for you again. We've got a bunch of stuff piling up over here. Just got back from the Florida Flywheelers show down in Florida this past weekend, I guess it was, and picked up a bunch of new stuff down there. I wanted to share with you guys some of the cool things we got, as well as some viewer mail and some other items that have come into the shop. Again, things are just stacking up a little bit quicker than normal, so we're having to throw one of these in a little bit quicker as well. So before we get into some of the other stuff, let me just hit a couple of quick announcements here. I mentioned last time about some upcoming events where people can come out and get to meet up with myself, whatever. We just had an event down at the Florida Flywheelers, had a little meet and greet with several YouTubers there and got to meet several of you guys down at Flywheelers. Always enjoy those opportunities and really do appreciate getting to shake people's hands and get a chance to just speak with folks and what have you. Another opportunity coming up on April 6th. This is 2024, in case you're watching this sometime in the future. But each spring, the Georgia Museum of Agriculture puts on their annual Folklife Festival. And this is really the best day of the year, in my opinion, to come to the museum and be able to really just kind of get to see everything. So you guys know I do a lot of volunteer work with the Georgia Museum of Agriculture, helping them keep a lot of their equipment up and running. I will be out there on April 6th, operating and running the steam-powered sawmill. And we'll have that going. We'll also have our steam-powered locomotive running with the train. You can go train rides. We're going to have the turpentine still up and running, which is the only time each year that we run that. We'll actually be charging that up and running some pine gum through it, just like they did back in the old days to make turpentine and rosin, like they did for the naval stores industry. Very interesting process, very traditional thing that was done throughout the South down in this area. It was a very important industry back in the day, not so much anymore. But this is one of only 2 wood-fired turpentine stills that's still left in operation anywhere in the U.S. And it's an opportunity to be able to come out and actually see that being operated and ran. And I'll be actually helping. Usually when they discharge that, I'll go over and help with that as well, because you kind of need all hands on deck when they're discharging the rosin kind of at the end of the charge. So anyway, April 6th, Tifton, Georgia Museum of Agriculture. If you're interested to come out for that, great day to come to the museum, bring your families, whatever. Guys that are somewhat local, it's a great opportunity to come down. And if you've been looking for an excuse to make a trip, this would be a good one to come. So hopefully we get to see some of you guys on April 6th at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture Folklife Festival. Also, want to mention here real quick, big, huge thank you. In the last Odds and Ends video, we kind of put a plug out there for the Patreon deal where you can help support my channel through making some contributions, and had a lot of people take advantage of that. And I just want to real quickly mention again the different levels that we have now, because it has changed if you haven't been in there. If you sponsor at $5 a month, you're going to get one of these Vintage Machinery decals that people kind of have collect or whatever. If you come in at $10 a month, I've got a little, this is my new item that we just got. This is a little decimal equivalent chart. It's got the Vintage Machinery logo on there. It's etched on a little plate of aluminum like an old machinery tag would be. And you can actually mount this to a machine or use it however you want to. You'll actually get this and the decal. And then at the $25 per month level, we send you one of the embroidered aprons like I'm wearing here. Of course, you get a brand new one, not a dirty one like I have on. Plus, you'll get these 2 items as well. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but just say, guys, if you really feel like you want to give something back to the channel, if you feel like you get some benefit out of this and you can help out a little bit financially, it's a really good way to help support my channel and help me to enable me to be able to take the time to do these videos like I've always talk about at the end of my videos each time. So big, huge thank you. There's links for Patreon down in the comments of this video below, where you can link over there and do that. And I would also encourage you to do that for other YouTube creators that you may enjoy watching, because we don't really get a whole lot of revenue off of just these videos themselves, but a lot of the people that contribute separately, it really makes a big, huge difference. And thank you for everyone that does that. If you can't do it, no big deal. If you can, yeah, we would greatly appreciate it. So with that, I think we got that stuff checked off. Let's come in here and start talking about some of the stuff we picked up. I think we'll do the Flywheeler stuff first, and I've got some other stuff that we've got from viewers and so forth here as well. So let's look at what we picked up down at the Florida Flywheelers. All right, so just a couple of items that I picked up off of some different tables and stuff out at the Flywheelers at the swap meet. If you've never been to the Flywheelers, ever been to one of these swap meets before, there's just literally at the Flywheelers, there's hundreds of people that show up that are just selling stuff. A lot of them are vendors that go around to shows like this all over the place that bring stuff for sale, pickers that go pick stuff and then bring them out to sell. There's individual people that just maybe come to this one show and they have things for sale or whatever. And you can find just all kinds of stuff. It's amazing the stuff that's out there, and it's a lot of fun digging through it and looking for things. But here are some of the things that I picked up. First off, got a Starrett 12-inch hook rule. This is kind of neat. If you're not familiar with a hook rule, it has this little end on the end, so if you can kind of go in there and hook it on the edge of something and read the scale off of it. So you're trying to get up on the edge of a piece of metal or whatever, obviously not round, but square, but you would use that and you could read the measurement. Really nice. And this is a 12-inch one. I've got some 6-inch ones. I don't think I got a 12-inch hook rule. So this is a nice Starrett. It's got fractions on this side and 1/8 inch and 64th inches. And on this side, or 8/8 and 32nds. On this side, we got 64ths and on that side, and I guess it's 32nds on this side. Is that right? 8/16, 32nds, and 64ths. There you go. All right. It only took 3 times to figure it out. Anyway, pick that up. Really nice piece there. This is a little boxwood rule. This one's made by Lufkin. If you've never seen these are kind of neat. I have a thing for rulers and rules and whatever, and these boxwood rules are kind of neat. This one kind of folds out like this right here. And again, 12 inches. And when it's folded up, it actually has this little caliper on the end, and you can read it off of that. Obviously this isn't for machining work. This is more for woodworking or something where you just need to read down to like a 32nd of an inch or whatever, but you can read it off that little caliper on the end. Really neat piece. Anyway, I thought that was neat. Picked that up. Got this little tap handle here. The reason I picked this one up, I've got a bunch of tap handles, but this one is a longer one. I like to have these long ones. Sometimes they're really handy to get down into areas where you need a little bit extra reach, and it's a pretty good size one. I mean, you can easily put a 1/2 inch tap in that one. I've got some long ones that are smaller taps on the end, but I didn't have one this size. So anyway, I picked that up. These are just some little oilers that you put in machines, and restoring old machines, a lot of times they'll have these little oilers with the little spring-loaded caps on them. And these things are expensive if you have to go buy new ones. You can still order them. Gitz makes them. You can get them from McMaster-Carr and places like that, but they've gotten kind of expensive. There was a guy that had a box. These were $1 a piece in them, and I just picked out like 15 of them, and that's about what one would cost new, or maybe 2 would cost new. So anyway, I've got a little box over there that I keep these oilers in. When I pick them up wherever, and they're nice to have whenever you need them. And then this set here, this is a little set for extracting out, like if you break a pipe or something and you need to go in there and actually go down inside of that. This little piece down here is on the eccentric, so when you turn that in there, this tightens up on the inside of like a piece of pipe or whatever, and you can back it out. So if you got like a pipe nipple or something that breaks off, or a fitting that breaks off in a piece of pipe or whatever, really handy. You just put a wrench up on this end here, and these are for different size pipes. That's for 3/4 inch pipe. That one's for, what is that, 1 inch pipe, I guess. Yep. And I'm guessing we got a 1/2 inch and 1/4 in here. So that one's 1/2 inch, and that one there is, well, 3/8. So anyway, nice little thing. I've actually needed these in the past and had to do it other ways, but glad to have this little set. All right, let's show you some other stuff we picked up. So this was a neat little item I found on the guy's table. He had this little bench vise, and it's just cool. And it's old. I don't know how old it is. There's not a maker's name on this or anything like that. But you basically have got a clamp here where you clamp this down to a table. It's got a couple little spikes so that it actually digs into like the piece of wood on your bench top or whatever, and this kind of sits over on the edge. And you got a little vise. It's kind of like a blacksmith's post vise, but obviously it doesn't go down to the ground like that. But I mean, look at that square rivet on there. I mean, this thing is very well made, and it is a very nice piece in my opinion. And it just looks old. I don't know how old it is, but I'm guessing maybe late 1800s, early 1900s. Very likely this was made like by a blacksmith or whatever. Typically, if it was commercially made, it's probably going to have a name or something stamped in it. So, but anyway, really cool item. And I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was pretty reasonably priced, I thought. So yeah, that came home with me. Thought that was cool. And something that has absolutely nothing to do with working in the shop or anything like that, but again, just something that I've always wanted one of these. If you don't know what this is a carbide miner's lamp. And this is what the old like coal miners and gold miners or whatever would wear up on their little hat or their helmet to give them light inside of a mine. And the way this would work is you would put down the bottom of this some carbide dust, and up in the top you would put water in this piece here, and you had a little piece here that basically was a valve, and what that would do is that would open up a valve and let the water drip down into this bottom piece. When the water hit the carbide, it would create acetylene, and the acetylene would come up through this, and it would come out this little thing here, a little small bit. You had a little striker there, and you could strike your lamp with, and it would just put a little flame out, kind of like a candle. And the reflector here, this was probably originally silver. It looks like it's been worn away, but that would give you a little bit of light to be able to work inside of the mine back before the days when you had a flashlight or batteries. And anyway, I actually, back in the 1980s, I worked out west a couple of summers at a camp, and I actually gave gold mine tours and did historical, kind of interpretive history or whatever, talking about life and working in a gold mine. And anyway, I never had one of these. They didn't want us to have open flames in the mine for obvious reasons, but I've always just kind of wanted one because I thought it was neat from a historical standpoint. And I'll probably just put it up on a shelf and look at it. But anyway, they had one of these. I picked it up. Never had one before, and just always kind of wanted one. Picked up this 36-inch pipe wrench. Little rusty, but all in all in decent shape. It looks like it's been kind of out in the weather or whatever, but we can clean that up. I'll probably take it apart and put it in my bucket of Abapo rust and clean that up and oil it up, and it should be just fine. It actually works just fine. It's just a little rusty. Does not have a name on it or anything like that. It just says heavy duty 36-inch. As I was hoping it would be name brand, but I don't see anything. I don't know if this is made in USA or an import. It does not say, so, likely probably an older import would be my guess, but it's in good shape. And this is actually something, I was actually needing a pipe wrench this big just a couple of weeks ago and had to kind of do something different to get the job done, but really could have used one of these. And whenever I saw it, I just went ahead and said, you know what, I'm taking that home with me. Again, they didn't have too bad of a price on it, and it followed me home. So I need to, like I say, get it cleaned up a little bit, but this will be a handy little tool to have around. And from time to time, you just need a big wrench like this to get over on something. I've got a couple of 24-inch pipe wrenches, but I don't have it now. Now I have a 36-inch. Now I need to find me a 36-inch crescent wrench. That's something else that I've been on the lookout for and just haven't found one yet. Something else that kind of need from time to time. Anyway, nice big pipe wrench. Well, I lied. I went and was putting this pipe wrench up, and I looked over in my drawer. I keep my pipe wrenches, and the biggest pipe wrench I have is an 18-inch. I actually got this aluminum one, and I have a cast iron one in there too. I like the aluminum because it's a little bit lighter unless you're really needing something to, if you're going to put a cheater bar or something on it, I would use the other one. But I don't have a 24-inch, but I go from 18 to 36, but that's good. That's having that extra capacity is going to be very helpful around here. Well, not anything older, again, what I consider a tool or anything, but nonetheless, something very handy. I picked up a couple of these little foam knee pads while I was there. I actually have one, same size as this one, And I use it all the time because my old knees, when I get down on the floor working on something, I just need a little bit of padding down there. And the problem I've ran into is that it seems like every time I go looking for that little knee pad that I've got out here in the shop, I can't find it. It's wherever I left it the last time I used it. So I bought 3 more of them. So now I have 4 of these that will probably be scattered in the shop wherever I last used them. But maybe I'm going to increase my chances of being able to find one with 4 versus 1. Kind of the same theory I use with tape measures. I've got a drawer over here, probably 8 or 10 of them. And whenever my drawer gets empty, I go around the shop and look for them and find them all because they're just kind of wherever I left them. And I can't ever seem to find one when I need them. You can't have too many of them. So anyway, these right here, you see them at these shows all the time. And they're nice to have. If you don't have one of these little foam knee pads in your shop, you probably ought to get yourself at least 1, if not 4, like me. So probably the big ticket item, I guess you could say that I got it there, was this set of anvil stakes and this stake plate where to mount these in. There was a vendor there that had these sitting over there on the table, and I've kind of wanted a set of these for a long time. You know, they're kind of made more for tinsmithing, sheet metal work, forming stuff around, but you can use them with blacksmithing as well. If you got some, unusual stuff you need to use an anvil for, or bend stuff around a horn or whatever that doesn't work on a regular anvil, you can use it for light duty work. But basically the way this works is you have this plate down here that has these holes in it, and you would mount this on a bench. It could be a wooden bench, it could be a metal bench or whatever, but it'd be mounted kind of flush on the top. And then you drop your different stake tools down in these different size holes that they have. And you can work on them and use them for whatever. And that one's actually not all the way in there because it's on the bottom. Normally it's a little bit tighter fitting in there, but they're not all the way down in it because I don't have it clearance up underneath the bottom. Anyway, he had this and he had the 4 tools. So we had 2 of the anvils here, this long one. This one's got more of the wide horn on the front, the long thin back. And then this tool here for kind of bending stuff over. And then this one here is just a little plate on it. These stakes are all made by Pexto, which made all kinds of sheet metal working stuff. The plate down here, it's identical to the one made by Pexto, but this one says Bally, B-A-L-L-Y. I have a suspicion that Pexto made it, but had the Bally name in there. I'm not sure why. You see these from time to time. I looked them up on the internet, and you could find the ones that said Bally, and you could find the ones that said Pexto. But I'd be willing to bet you they were made in the same place. But anyway, nice little set here. He was selling it all individually, and I said, well, what'd you just take for all of it? And he made me a really good deal on it. I thought it was a good deal. So anyway, I bought it. It was a bigger ticket item for me, no doubt. But again, it's something I've been kind of always wanted one, and I think it's something that will come in handy every now and then. So picked them up. So there you go. This nice set of anvil stakes and the stake plate that they go in. And once I found this first set of stakes, I was at a different vendor, and he had this stake here. This is another one, again, made by Pexto. It's in the catalog that you could use it for bending stuff over and forming tools on whatever. So anyway, I saw this at another vendor and just went ahead and bought it because, hey, again, he had a good price on it. Way below what they're selling for on eBay and places like that. So I just went ahead and picked it up while I was there. Why not? They made a whole set of these different stakes. In fact, I'll show them to you in the catalog here in just a minute. So you can kind of see the different variety of things that they offered. But I got a pretty good start on a set of stakes to go with this. And at yet another vendor, I found this one. This is not really a stake that was designed to go in this tool, but with a little bit of modification to that post, I think it can work in here. But this is just basically would have been an anvil that like you would have used in a hardy hole on another anvil or whatever, just as a little accessory. And I may use it that way as well. But I saw that. When I first saw it, I said, that's going to fit my stake plate. And I went over and tried to fit it. It didn't fit exactly right, but I still ended up buying it because it's just it's a neat item and a handy little tool, particularly around for blacksmithing work. Sometimes they would just put this on a block of wood. Sometimes you'd mount it in the anvil or whatever, but really nice tool. This one does have a maker's mark on it. I'm going to zoom in on there. I don't recognize what that is. Some of you guys might, but I think that was probably a commercial made item. So that is the little maker's mark that is in the side of this this piece here. I don't recognize it. If you do, leave a comment or shoot me an email. I'd like to know anything you might know on it. That could have been made by a blacksmith or whatever, and that was just his stamp that he marked it with. But kind of suspect that might be a maker's mark that someone might recognize. I don't know. If you do, let me know. So I thought I'd show this catalog pictures that show some of the different options they had for these steaks, just because. So, you know, I actually got one of these breakhorn steaks. I think they got a number 1, 2, and 4. So they must have different sizes. I'm not sure which size mine is, but I got one like that. I got what they call this blowhorn steak, and then the square steak down here. I didn't get the creasing steak or these other ones, but anyway, those are some, and there's more here. So this is the double seaming steak. That's the second one that I got from the other vendor. And then this hatchet steak is the one that just kind of has that you can kind of fold over. So I got those two. And the other ones I did not. So there's a bottom steak, a creasing steak with horn. So kind of like this creasing steak, not as many creases in it, but that one's got a horn on it. This is a coppersmith square steak. And this one here is kind of has a little dog leg on it, the bevel edge square steak. And let's see, there was the prices. This is an old catalog here. And then there was some more steaks over here, the round head steak, the bathtub steak, the conductor steak, and the mandrel steak. So anyway, several different ones that they offered. And oh, there's more. Tender steaks. Here's the tea kettle steak with 4 steel heads that you could put on it. The hollow mandrel steak, and here's a double seaming steak with 4 heads. So you had different heads that would fit on that one as well. Kind of cantilevers out. So anyway, lots of different options there. Just another one there shows the bench plate that we got. Pretty much the same steaks here, maybe a few different ones, but anyway, made by Pexto. So there you go. And I also picked up some tongs while I was out there, and this one kind of wasn't something I was looking for. Actually, the guy that I bought that second steak from, the one that had the bigger one that was kind of separate, not the anvil steak, but that other actual steak that went in the steak holder. When I bought it, he's like, "Oh, do you do blacksmithing?" And I'm like, "Well, I do a little bit. I mean, you know, whatever." He said, "Well, I got a bunch of tongs over there. Let me sell you those tongs." And I said, "Well, I'm not really interested in the tongs. You know, any blacksmith will tell you can't have too many sets of tongs," but they were kind of rough shaped, wasn't that interested in them. And I said, "No," I said, "I'll probably pass on them." And he said, "Well, you haven't heard my price yet." So I said, "Okay, well, what's your price?" Well, he starts making a pile of these tongs, and he started grabbing some of these little pieces up here, these log tongs, and I'm not sure what that was for. Looks like maybe some ice tongs here. I'm not sure. Anyway, he makes a pile of all this, and he throws a really low number at me. He's like, "I'm tired of hauling this stuff around." He says, "You need to take this iron home with you." And I took it home with me. Again, not sure I needed it, but it was priced right. So I got it. And these tongs are a little bit rough. I'll probably throw them in my Vapor Rust, clean them up, rework them a little bit. You know, you can straighten out handles and whatever in the forge to make them more useful or whatever, but they'll get used. Like I said, you can't have too many tongs. Some of this stuff up here, this is like for picking up a log. We've actually got some of these out of the museum. They're really handy. That's a nice little set there. The ice tongs here and whatever that was, I'm not sure. Don't know that I ever needed them, but I got them. So anyway, there you go. Just kind of happens sometimes. Well, that pretty well covers what we got at the Florida Flywheelers. Now let's get over here into some of the viewer mail that's come in. And to start that off with, I got some books that were sent in by Spencer Webb. This is some books I'm going to be adding to my library of old technical stuff, technical books. This is kind of engineering and material stuff. So we got engineering materials and processes. We got elements of strength of materials, design of machine elements, engineering, physics, metallurgy, and general metals. So anyway, all kinds of stuff, engineering type stuff on metal engineering and strengths of metal and things like that. So anyway, I will put them into my ever-growing collection of technical books that seems like every time anybody's getting rid of these old obsolete books, they end up being sent down to me, and I love them. And they do come in handy from time to time. Need to look something up, so always glad to have them, and sure beats going into the landfill, which is where a lot of this stuff is going. Up next, got some items that actually were shipped in all the way from Madrid, so long ways away. This came from Pedro Martinez. Says he's a follower of my videos and has a small company specializing in restoring mechanical musical instruments like phonographs, gramophones, organets, etc. And he said he had bought a toolbox that belonged to an English mechanic in the late 50s, and among the tools came the Cincinnati manual. So this is a manual for a Cincinnati number 2, 3, and 4 dial type milling machines, a model OM instruction booklet, and this is the kind of stuff we scan and put up on the website. So we'll check and see if it's not already on the website. We will get this scanned and put up on there at some point in time. Copyright 1949. So really nice item here that will definitely, someone out there can use that for sure. He also sent me a little decal from his business and this little trigonometry indicator. So if you need to figure out some type of trigonomic function, you can use this to figure out, what formula to use real quickly. So I kind of like these. I've actually got a bunch of these little calculator wheels like this and little slide rule type things, and I think they're pretty cool. So anyway, I'll put this in my collection of those. Back in the days before everybody had a phone in their pocket that had built-in calculators, even before they had real calculators that, I can remember when I was a kid, didn't have all this stuff. These things were how you look things up all the time. And I can even remember having some of those little slide rule things that you could look up multiplication tables on and stuff like that when I was in grammar school. And anyway, just kind of a thing from the past that I think is kind of cool. So anyway, Pedro, thank you very much. We'll get this in the stack to be scanned, and appreciate it very much. Next, got a bunch of cutters here from Rick Wagner. Rick actually came down from Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago. He made a little road trip and was coming through the area and dropped off all these cutters to me. I think he told me that he used to work with a metal planer or a big metal shaper or something, had a bunch of extra tooling for it that he just doesn't have a need for anymore, that he had acquired, and knew that I had my metal planer and thought that I might be able to use these, and he's absolutely right. This is some nice, big, thick steel. I'm not sure if this is high-speed steel or just high-carbon steel, but nonetheless, it will cut metal. And a lot of this has already been ground into different profiles and stuff for using on a metal planer type machine. So definitely some things that we can put to use, and really nice to have some tooling like this. And, we can custom grind these ourselves if we need to, or just use the grinds that they've already got on here and just sharpen them up. That's the nice thing about high-speed steel tooling is you can just make whatever you need. If you got a grinder, you can make whatever you need. You can sharpen whatever you need. And on a tool like a planer or a shaper, where you have that interrupted cut coming in and out, this kind of a tooling holds up a lot better than like carbide insert tooling does, which is more brittle and more likely to break on that shock of just coming in and out of those interrupted cuts. So anyway, Rick, thanks so much. Enjoyed getting a chance to meet you. Got to see a little tour of the shop while he was here, and we will definitely put this stuff to use at some point in time over on the metal planer. This is just the kind of stuff you need around for whatever kind of weird job that might come up along the way. So up next comes some items that were sent to me from John Michael Van Antwerp up in Illinois. And what he sent along was some tool holders for my DA tool post that I use over on the Big Monarch lathe. I'd shown where we had put a DA tool post on there. This is bigger than the CA stuff that is more common size. And he said he had acquired this stuff somewhere. He doesn't even have a DA tool post, I don't think. Just was going to send it along to me because he thought I could use it. This is all some really nice stuff. All of it's Aloris. So we got this one here, which is, I think that's for a Morse taper. So that's a number 3 or 4 Morse taper there that you could put into this piece. I believe that's what that is. And then we got a tool holder here just a regular tool holder. You put a tool in, and then this one is for like a cutoff tool that you can put in there. And then you also sent along some of your old school tool cutters here, a couple of threading cutters, as well as this one here that has the adjustable cutter, which is really handy, again, over on the metal planer, using a tool like this sometimes because you can rotate that around. It was made to use on a lathe, but often really commonly used on shapers and planers as well. So anyway, thank you very much. Definitely can use this stuff, particularly these tool holders. I'm still trying to get a few more of them, various, so that I can kind of get all my cutters and stuff where I don't have to change them every single time. And we got some stuff here I didn't have, so that's good. Forgot to show this a while ago when I was showing my stuff from the Flywheelers. This was a gift from a viewer that I met at the meet and greet, which was Terry Benko. Terry actually last year gave me another little booklet on steam traction engines called Rough and Tumble Engineering. This is actually by the same author. It's called The Traction Engine, and basically it's just a little book. This was dated 1905. Charles, was that Carlton? And it's actual 1903 date on here, but really neat little book all about the steam traction engine. And I'm really looking forward to reading this because you always pick up little tidbits of information when you do. So anyway, very nice gift, very nice book, very nice one for the collection. Terry, thank you so much for bringing that along, and glad to meet you yet again. We met last year as the Flywheelers as well. So up next, got some items that were sent in by Gary Teal out in, where was it? In Nevada. And Gary sent a stack of these little cameras. These are little borescope cameras or endoscope cameras that you can run up into something, down a gun bore in a hole or whatever, to see what's down in there. Really handy little thing to have. I didn't have one, so I do now. They basically have a USB port on them. So you got USB-C, mini USB, and a regular USB port there that you can plug this into either a PC. You can run it into an Android phone. You can run it into a Mac. It doesn't work with an iPhone that has just the regular type of Apple adapter, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your view of Apple stuff. Unfortunately for me, I have an Apple phone, or at least in this case, unfortunately, then it won't work with it, but I can use it with a PC. So anyway, he gave me a whole stack of these things. So anyway, we'll have to find some folks that can use some of those and send them along or what have you, because I don't need that many. But he also sent along some little light sticks, so you know that you can break these and shake them in their little glow stick. Again, handy. And these little coins, he said he had these made up, and basically it says, "Leave it better, work together." So this was just a little thing that he had made up to give to volunteers and people that helped him out. And he sent me a little stack of these as well. So Gary, thanks so much. Do appreciate it. So up next, guys, got some beautiful red Starrett boxes. You got to love these. And this is some items. I actually did some horse trading on. I had a viewer that was looking for some stuff. He had this stuff. He said it was surplus to him. Extras. He had bought, I think, a bunch of stuff, and this was just extra things for him. So we did some trading. I sent him something, and he sent me this. So what we got here, this is a Starrett micrometer. This has got a 1 to 2 inch, and there's two of these 2 to 3 inch ones of this style. Let me show you this. These are brand spanking new. I don't think they've ever been used. Still in the Starrett bag here. But this is kind of one of the cool ones if you've never seen one of these like this before. So this one, instead of reading it old school up on the reading it manually off the dial, you actually have an analog readout here. So you got 1 point whatever, and as you turn it, you see it turns the numbers on there. So it's not digital, no battery required. It is digital, but it's not electronic. So the batteries don't ever die on these, and you can just directly read whatever your measurement is right there on the side. So they're pretty cool. This is the Starrett number 216. Like I said, this is a 1 to 2 inch, and there were two of them that are 2 to 3 inches in there. So really, really nice, cool items here for sure. And let's see what's in the other boxes. I'll show you those. This is a thickness gauge feeler stock. And basically what you got here is a little plastic piece that has a 25 feet of this material in here in different thicknesses. So this is like a feeler gauge set that you would have, but this is actually a 25-foot long piece of it. So you can use this for shim material. You can use it for measuring. And he's had a couple of them in here in some different thicknesses. So this is 10 thousandths thick. This is 12 thousandths. And this is, oh, that's 1.5 thousandths. That's some thin stuff down there. That's pretty cool. So anyway, some nice stuff. So thank you very much for sending that along. And Dan, and they'll get put to use around here for sure. And your box, it will be headed to you very, very shortly with what we traded for. Another item here did some horse trading for. So Gerald Cook over in Alabama was looking for some parts for a K&T 2D milling machine, and I had what he was looking for. So anyway, he ended up buying a few items from me, and we actually did some trading for this one. Now what this is this is the sliding attachment or shaper attachment that goes on the 2D. So basically this mounts up on the quill of my 2D milling machine. And what you would do is you would put a cutter down here in this little round hole. And if you wanted to like cut a keyway or something like that over on the milling machine, you could use this sliding attachment. Basically, it works like a shaper. You would go up and down on it. And it's just hand operated. You just would move your little handle up and down there to do the shaping and just nibble out a little small piece at a time. This was one of the few attachments for my 2D that I had not acquired yet. And Gerald had one, and he didn't really need it. So like I said, we did some trading with one another with 2D parts. I got him stuff he needed, and he got me this, which I don't know that I need it, but I didn't have one and kind of wanted one. So now I have one. So sliding attachment for the Kearney Trekker 2D rotary head milling machine. Thank you very much, Gerald. Up next, got a book that was sent in by L. Pollen up in Portland, Oregon. And the name of the book is The Way Things Work. It's pretty interesting. So it's volume 2. So evidently there's a first volume to this. Let's see if we got a date on it. 1971, first printing. And it's all about just what it says, how things work. Here's how nuclear reactors worked. I mean, this thing's got all kinds of crazy stuff in it. Ammonia processes, aluminum, zinc, lead, preparation of ores, continuous castings, centrifugal castings, forging, pressure welding, fusion welding, sheet metal, galvanizing, gears, ball and roller bearings. I mean, this thing's got everything under the sun here. How a tank works. Here's operating an automobile. This is going to be an interesting book. Color television, how it works. So anyway, I'm looking forward to kind of reading through this one. This one's going to be pretty good. Cartography, map making. A little bit of everything in here. High fidelity, your stereo system. Anyway, so cool book. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I can't wait to dig into that one and do a little reading in it. That one should be good. Well, guys, with that, I think we have once again worked through our pile of stuff here that needed to get put up and out of the way. Things were piling up again, particularly after Flywheelers picking up a little load of stuff. And I like to share with you guys when I bring new stuff in the shop. Sometimes you get to see things you may not know what they are, or just cool stuff. So I think it's cool anyway. So with that, that is a wrap. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted to the site. And as always, a big, huge thank you to the guys who support the channel by subscribing, as well as those who support through Patreon, PayPal. We talked a little bit about Patreon early along. If you're interested in that, again, there's information on that down in the comments or down in the description of the video where you can join up on Patreon or donate through other methods as well. And with that, guys, we're going to be signing off. Catch you on the next video again. Thanks for watching.